I'm going to go through and kind of show some of the changes we've made here. Basically, what happened now is we're going to deploy to 20 chains. That's not been a problem. But if we wanted to add sales contracts and things like that, that is just ready to go out of the box, we have to deploy those things in kind of a sequence, in order. We can't do it in some uncontrolled fashion. There is an idea we could create this contract and then add it through the IDE or add it through a secondary option, but now we're talking about multiple commands. I'm going to get a lot of questions on that. The idea was to keep this simple, right? And so simple is one signature. And that's one of the beauties of being able to do this with the Chain Web API, is we can stack these with QuickSign. So let's kind of just jump into it real quick. I'm going to KTG for all. If I can spell it right, let's do 50,000, 100,000, million, 50 million. I want 50 million supply. That should be 50 million. Okay. So we're going to put 50% here, 25% here, and these don't matter for now. But basically, what you're doing here is you're going to enter how many batches you want to sell of the tokens. So each batch contains 2,500 tokens. So that should be 2.5 million. I'm going to get destroyed when that math is wrong, but I think it's right. Let's see. We want to start our pre-sale on Monday, or our pre-sale on Saturday, and then our public sale on Monday. And then we'll sell this for 2. And we're going to end it at the end of next week. So we'll have a week to do this. So once we hit generate, that's it. That's all we got to do. So we fill in all this. We fill in this form. The form started small. I get that. It is what it is. So there's other things you can do. Like you can change the supply chain, which will change. If you go from chain 1 on mainnet is KDS, KD swap, and chain 2 is the Echo Dex. So if you pick chain 1, you're going to go to KDS. If you're going to go chain 2, you're going to go to Echo. For now, I'm configured for Echo Dex just because that's what I've tested the most on, and I have the most familiarity with on mainnet. But either one should work, and we'll test all that kind of in our testing period. But let's just go. I can talk while this is running. So here it is. We're sending 20 contracts, chains 0 through 19, and then we're gonna do some things in a sequence. So we have 3 more deploys here, right? Because we have 23 commands. Let's kick that off. So you'll see these are all submitted. So they're gonna just keep going until they're done. And then we have these 3 things down here. Okay, so they're named. So it's a little funky because it shows out of order, but this will run first. It has to. So there's a sequence to all these events. So you deploy your contract, right? We have to do things in order. If it's a supply where we're gonna actually have our supply coming from, and that's single chain for this tool, I'm not gonna even try to make that multi-chain. I suppose you could. It wouldn't be difficult, but it would be like chaos trying to manage that, right? And so in an uncontrolled setup, that just doesn't make any sense. But maybe somebody like Crank, that makes sense for them, right? If they want to be able to generate supply on any chain or cross-chain their supply, I mean, that's totally however they want to do that kind of stuff. And other projects that want to do that, that definitely are generating some transaction volume, I think that makes sense. But for us, let's keep this simple, right? That's the idea here. So we are going to deploy our token contract. Then this will immediately kick off. And then we're going to go to our sales contract once that's done. And the reason this order matters is this cannot run until our token is online. It doesn't need supply for this. It's going to be waiting to find out what its supply is, and we're going to send it to this treasury. But at the same time, we're also going to have this sales contract, which relies on the token contract and the treasury contract. So you really cannot do these out of order. And then this goes back to this preparing init supply on chain 1. This goes back to our smart contract that we launched initially. So look, that just submitted. So that means that everything else must be done already. Wow, that wasn't too bad for a 20 chain deploy. So once the treasury's done, sales will go. Now we can go back to our main supply contract, which is on chain 1, and we can run this init supply command. And this init supply takes our form fields. We can close this. Takes our form fields and basically uses all this information. right? That we just provided it to seed all these contracts and to initialize them. And so this is the part that I think a lot of people miss or get hung up on. How does this work? How do I use EMV data, things like that or our JSON data, things that we talk about. You don't have to worry about any of that. It just handles it for you, right? It's meant to be simple. So we can go back here and let's look at our deploy. I could use the filters, but I'm just being, I don't know if I'd call it lazy, but yeah, there we go. So there we go. We're almost done with this deploy. And essentially what happens here is once this is done, your token's online. It's live. There's no gimmick here. I did submit this. It's on testnet. I've had a few deploys, and some of them I didn't mean to deploy. Some of you have no idea how many on DevNet were deployed, but I really wanted to mimic like that true chain feel because there's no other way for me to mimic. On mainnet's going to be even more important to test this at least once. But essentially, I'm confident if it works here, it's going to work there. There's no change per se, other than you can select mainnet or testnet. But what does matter is the supply chain matters. So there we go. Our token is successfully deployed. That's good. Everything went through. So what was this contract name? KTG for all. So that would be namespace KTG for all. And I'm not going to remember that, but let's go here. And let's make sure we're on chain 1 testnet, which we are. And let's do use. Yeah. There we go. Cool. So it's on chain. And then what we can do is this is going to be nauseating for a second. You're going to see I've maybe deployed this, and a lot of these actually aren't deployed. But here's KTG for all. And if we want to get, so I don't have an account there yet, but if I did, we could. However, what's cool is, that's fine. So what we're going to be able to do is we're going to be able to fetch that pricing. I need to initialize that piece. I haven't added that yet. But I wanted to actually add it through here. So we'll see our initial price. It'll be on there, and then we can modify it through here. So that's kind of cool. That's the way we're going to do that. And then if you want to add people to that reserve / whitelist, you're going to add them in here. And I will validate that they're valid K accounts here soon. But that's it. And if you selected the increment supply, this is going to pop up, and you're going to be able to pick, right? You're going to be able to pick if you want to get that from, if you want to send that supply to a certain person, to a certain account, that's on you. I'm not going to determine how that works. I'm just going to give you the ability to increment your supply. So you could increment it just to increment it, I guess, but somehow you're going to have to get that out. I would recommend sending it to the treasury or your own account, and the treasury allows you to manage everything. So that's the majority of all this, right? So it's deployed, it's on chain. We've kind of gone through, and you can kind of get an idea to see basically if there's a function that you're going to call, it's going to be in this list. Not all of them are in here are showing, but very soon I will start adding all the different pop-ups that I've created so that you'll be able to see them. And as people are testing, we'll probably find more and tweaks and be able to do it. And the biggest thing here, I think, is I'm getting this update price. So that has to be done before the sale begins, because once it begins, I don't let you change that. Now, you could change your contract if you really wanted to, but there's safeguards in place to warn people, and we track the hash of the contract. So if you change it, I'll know, and it's not hard to script to follow those kind of changes on chain. I know some people that do it today. I'm guilty myself, but that's like if you wanted to deploy a contract. I'm not the best at visualization and UX. I did ask somebody for help, so hopefully next week we can kind of improve the flow of this a little bit better. I want it to work, and I want it to work well for people, and so I've been focusing on what I'm comfortable doing and making it work and resolving issues. And so that's what I'm going to continue focusing on, and hopefully we can kind of clean this up a little bit, maybe get this menu a little bit better, and then make our buttons a little better. But that's the site. That's the whole site, and then you'll be able to go and follow along at our doc site. So As I've been moving things and cleaning up, I've been adding more and more to that. So that'll all get flipped to production here soon. So that as we're testing, I can find out more things, that we want to put in here. So that's it. Again, you can have supply wherever you want. If you pick a chain that doesn't have a dex, it's simply just up to you what you want to do with it. It's not going to do anything with the dex, because there's no way to interact with the dex at that point. So that's kind of on individual projects. You can still have a pair and you still can provide liquidity. That doesn't stop you, um, but you need to have your contracts in the right place if you want to do that. So, and then of course, I did disable this for now. I just don't want that tested right now. It's just too much to manage, and this one does work as well. So if you wanted your contract to be locked after you deploy, it's going to give you up to 30 days. We may shrink that, or I may let people pick the date, but that's essentially what that is. So that's like at a 10,000 foot level, that's the entire site. To me, it looks simple. There's like a million things that are happening behind the scenes to keep all this, to make sure that our chains are good, to make sure that we have the correct balance for gas on each chain, and so on and so forth. So I hope this was helpful. I know that it's probably going to be longer than I wanted it to be, but I just wanted to kind of do one walkthrough instead of multiple videos, and I appreciate people who stayed through. So I hope everybody has a good day.